Buckle up, Star Warriors, because we're jumping from Maul's murder tour straight into a Mandalorian political thriller, and believe me, heads will roll. A lot of them. Literally. It's decapitations and deception. All that and more this week. Clone Wars Season 5, Episodes 1, 14, 15, and 16 this week on your Star Wars safe space. Please do stick around. There we go. Hey there, Star Wars. Welcome to Star Wars Safe Space, your non-toxic, low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that Jon Favreau voiced Pre Vizsla in Star Wars Clone Wars and also came back to not reprise his role, but came back as another Vizsla in the Mandalorian series. He was Paz Vizsla, if I remember that correctly. Is that right now? Yep. Paz Vizsla, like Pez dispenser, but Paz Vizsla. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Jon Favreau, he's such a nerd. And of course he's directed lots and lots of Star Wars stuff. So yeah, God, love that guy. Him and Dave, man. Him and Dave are definitely one of us for sure. All right. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little Star Wars curious, this is your Star Wars safe space. Welcome aboard. We are the Circle of Nerds, and we do absolutely love Star Wars, even if we don't always like it. So let's meet the crew, shall we? Hailing from parts unknown, it is the keeper of the holocron, T to the Oni.
Welcome back to the galaxy, everybody. Strap in.
Strap in, strap up,
on. What?
Strap on. And pilot of the
take it that far, but okay.
Yeah, come on, it's us, Tony.
Gotta always take it that far. Are you kidding me?
Always take it that far. And pilot of the infamous Parma Flyer, it's Crash.
Hey, everybody. I just flew in from Chicago, and boy, are my S-foils tired. Let's go.
There we go. Jesus. That deserves another one. Okay. All right. And making her triumphant return to the show after a much-needed hiatus in Milan, star of stage and screen, it is Sherry, 2 R's, 1 Y.
But not where you think.
Sherry, how you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing great.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
Good to have you back.
Yes.
Tea and sass. That's what we get from Sherry. Tea and sass.
That's right.
Well, more like, I don't know, like vodka and sass.
Mostly vodka, but
vodka in the tea.
Correct.
And then sass. All right. So what are we doing here? We are on a mission to watch all of the Star Wars canon films and TV shows in chronological order, breaking them down, connecting the dots, and learning more about Star Wars and maybe even a little about ourselves as we go on. So sweet. So a word of warning to all you would-be Star Warriors out there will be spoilers. So if you haven't watched these episodes, please pause the podcast, watch the episodes, then come on back, because we've got some deep dive discussions going on this week. But before we do that, let's talk about some news stuff and pretend there's music here. It's the news. All right. Tony, what you got?
So there was a carpet. I don't even know what to call it now. But Gilroy, who's one of the producers on Andor, was talking with a reporter, and they're asking him about upcoming projects, and he confirmed that there is a horror Star Wars project in the works. We're not sure whether or not this is something that has already been announced, but just hadn't announced. You know, the project had been announced, it just wasn't announced that it was a horror themed project, or if he's talking about something that we've never heard about at all, which is really cool and interesting, and something that I would love to see from Star Wars. And while we don't know any of the basics among what that project could look like, there's also a new comic that just came out, which is, let's see here, it is Jedi Knights #2, which just released. And in that comic, they introduce a new species called the Zerexi, which are basically Star Wars xenomorphs.
Okay.
So like they are defined as Yeah, and you actually there's a show a screen from the book there, and they are defined as an all-black alien abomination sporting a prehensile tail and nearly impenetrable armor.
Oh,
And
that's
there are
terrible.
hordes of them.
You ever notice it's not like
So-
a cute and fluffy little creature that just
Right, like
it's always got to be this like scaly, dark, and they're like, I
Yes.
just want like a labradoodle, a killer
It's like
labradoodle. Would that be too
Stitch.
much?
Stitch is like a killer, but
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
super cute. So they're never like that. No.
Well, because then you'd feel bad for watching them get slaughtered. Wait, what's the name of them? Tony? What are they?
They're called. Their name is Xerexi. It's Xerexi.
That might be tied into the Thrawn novels. I think there's some, I gotta look at it. I literally just got back from
It says they are genetic creations of Atha Prime, who is the
Spell that for me one more time.
primary bad guy in this. Xerexi.
EXI.
Yeah, I think there was something. Again, I could be off base here. In the new Thrawn novels, there's supposedly this unknown and evil thing, thing that scares the Chiss Empire so much so that they team up with Palpatine to try to prevent them from it. This could be that being introduced in comic form.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've already got. This is what upsets me. We've already got the evil, scary aliens, the Yuzan Vong. We have them. They're there. Just bring them to us. Bring them. they've been decanonized. Grab them by their little squishy alien balls and bring them to us. Because they're
alien balls.
They're little. I mean, maybe they're big alien, but I don't know. I'm sure they're by their whatever genitalia. Maybe they're pod. I don't know. I don't know the
help control the population. Have your xenomorph spayed or neutered.
Yes. See. But the Yuzan Vong, they're force resistant. So I mean, that's terrifying.
I think there's some. The problem with the books is, we ran into this. Timothy Zahn was great. That they basically said, "Hey, Tim, we're going to decanonize your books, but we want you to write a whole new trilogy plus more." And he got to rework Thrawn and fit it into the new canon, and that was cool. The problem with the EU books is that you start dealing with license rights to the authors and stuff like that, where, and there were so many different authors that worked in the new Jedi Order Vong series of books that you'd have to get the rights from every single one of them to make sure everything, and it gets to the point where it's almost more hassle than it's worth. So I can kind of see why they're steering away from that.
But a lot of the rights though do belong to LucasArts. And
but you start dealing with the authors and who get
Sure. But I think a lot of that too is like the authors, they have the rights, I think. I don't know, I'm not a literary lawyer, but I the characters themselves
belong to Lucasfilm.
Right. So I mean, authors, no offense to our authors, because obviously they've given us so much. Without the authors, Star Wars would have died decades
ago.
Yeah, easily. But at the end of the day, the characters do belong to Disney now, but LucasArts, so they can kind of like do whatever they want. Like, so like they could bring the Yuzan Vong as a species back, but then just like discount like all of the stories. I mean, because you can't, because that deals with the Skywalker and Solo children, and
that's where we're getting in trouble now with the sequel trilogy. Not trouble, but people griped about the sequel trilogy. They say, well, we wanted the Thrawn trilogy instead. Well, you had to have made that in the late 90s when Mark Harrison and Carrie were of the right age.
Yeah.
Now they'd have laughed you. They'd have laughed you out of the room if you'd asked them that in the 90s.
Yeah, no, you can't do it. And someone made up a good point, because I used to be, in some ways I still am. I'm, kind of a purist with this stuff. It's like, this isn't my Star Wars, my EU, my expanded universe. That's my Star Wars. But someone made a good point online, because I was ranting and raving about this, and they said, well, why retell those stories? We have those stories. Our generation has those stories. We have them. We've read them. We love them. Whatever. Let's do new stories. And if that means like recycling old characters in order to create these new stories, then why not do it? And I have to agree with that.
How many times have we said how Brother Dave is so good about picking that one piece out from the old EU or this piece out of the old Kenner toy line,
Mm-hmm.
working it in to the story enough that we get the reference. It goes in, maybe in a new direction that differs from our childhood the way we remember them.
Yeah.
But
it's there.
It's there, and you could do it with the Vong. You could even rework the whole Vong story. I just don't know if it's worth the legal hassles that come.
No, we're not gonna get it. If we haven't got the Vong yet, we're probably not going to, not for a while. Just like when we saw Thrawn again, we didn't see Thrawn with his little, Ysalamari.
Right.
That would have been great, because that would have countered everything that Kanan and Ezra were going to do to him.
And Project Necromancer versus having a fully cloned insane Jedi Master, Jorah Sabat.
Lorith Kabath.
It would have been cool to see in live action, but at the same time, you limit the freedom of the writers now with what they can.
Because then you have to do Mara Jade and young Luke and cloned Luke, and it opens up a big bag of worms. Speaking of Mara Jade, I'm sorry I'm getting off on a tangent. I know. I apologize. I am. I'm sorry. The Mara Jade lightsaber recently came out. Disney released that, and it made me wonder, are we going to see Mara Jade brought back to canon? I'm just wondering if you guys...
Oh, because they brought that back.
Is it a teaser, or is it just, Mara Jade is a beloved character? Here's a little something for you, but...
Well, you never know, because they just add stuff in. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's whatever's in their little minds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they're just making up their own story as they go right now. It's not... I'm not saying it's not canon or anything, but yeah, I mean, the more we watch stuff, because I don't know about a lot of that, especially the comic books and the books and stuff like that. But I know a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just whatever Dave and them sit around and I don't know, drink, smoke. I don't know what they do, but and then just come up with these stories, and which I think are great.
And that's a good point. Sure. So for folks that aren't fully aware of Mara Jade ended up being the wife of Luke Skywalker. Massive spoilers here. So she was a hand of Thrawn. She was essentially I don't even want to say
almost the Inquisitor.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like the Inquisitors, but there were a few, and some were kind of cute. There was Mara Jade. There was another girl, I can't remember her name. She had short hair. But he sent them out in the galaxy, sent these gals out, and other member, and the hand, they didn't know that there were others. Each hand thought they were the only one. So they had no idea. So Mara was tasked with assassinating Luke Skywalker. That was her job. Go out, kill Luke. Palpy got killed first, and she felt his death in the Force. And so she made it her mission to still track him down. But by the time she found him, Luke is still cute and kind of charming, and they fall in love, but she's still conflicted because she still really wants to kill this motherfucker for her master. But so then there's this clone Luke that pops up. So she kills clone Luke, satisfying
the way, yeah.
Right. So she's able to satisfy that debt. Then her and Luke,
that's all in the books, right?
Yeah, that's all. None of that's, So when we saw Luke in what was it? Episode 9?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Yeah, when we saw him standing there, he's standing in front of some stones, but it very much looked like a tombstone. And my first thought was, is that Mara's grave? Could that be Mara's grave? And now seeing this lightsaber, could we get Mara Jade? Could we get a little backstory, Tales of Mara? Could we get it in animation?
Don't get too excited, because you never know.
Well, the trick to that is like we've been saying, the trick to that is everybody that's been fan casting Mara Jade is doing what every comic book cover artist did for the last 20 years. They find the hot redhead and go, her. Now you pick, and it's usually somebody in their early 20s, athletic build, and then you go, okay, cool. Now pair her up with Mark Hamill and don't make it look weird. I actually got into a conversation with a guy on the Star Wars Safe Space Facebook page about, she looks great in the part. I met Timothy Zahn years ago, and I asked him who would he cast for Thrawn and Mara Jade. This was early 2000s, and his answers kind of surprised me. I don't remember the Mara Jade one specifically, but I remember Rutger Hauer was his choice for Thrawn. Now picture that versus what we got in Ahsoka with Mads. I can't say his last name.
Mardigan.
Marty, yeah, the guy from Rebels and Ahsoka who voiced live action and animated. He's great, but he's not Rutger Hauer, who the author, and that's what I've been getting at. Is it you start making choices that the book author doesn't agree with? All of a sudden, we got a J.K. Rowling fight going on.
Oh yeah.
So I think everybody likes to Mara Jade, bring back Mara Jade. Well, first off, nobody's fan casting a 50, 60-year-old actress for the part. They want the young, hot 20-something-year-old from the cover art. And it's just either that or you have to do the CGI deepfake Luke like we see in Mandalorian and to tell a backstory. And on top of that, even if you cast her, all you're doing is leading up to the fact that Ben Solo kills her when he turns on Luke, and so we get to kill her again.
She's going to pass away. I feel like and
I think that's why they don't want to resurrect her into the new canon, because it's like, well, we're just going to kill her all over again.
That's true. But you know who I think could do it? Christina Hendricks.
Ooh, okay.
Christina Hendricks as Mara Jade. And if you're not familiar with Christina, you should Google her thoroughly.
Not Google her, Google her.
Google her thoroughly.
Calm down.
Sherry, you would have known her from Firefly. She was the crazy Malcolm Reynolds wife.
What?
Let me get her.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Remember her from Firefly?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
She looks good as a redhead. That would work. And she's the right age that it could play.
I agree.
I've definitely Googled her.
Oogled or Googled?
Yeah, Oogled or Googled. All right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So, hey, before we get into the actual show that we're supposed to be doing today.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Crash, tell us about your recent trip and you met someone.
Yeah, I had a busy weekend. I was in Chicago for C2E2 and got to meet John Boy. Not only meet John Boyega, I got to ask him a question during his panel, which we're going to poach the video. There's another podcast that hosted it, and they did a fantastic job. I want to give a shout out to them. Once I have their name written down somewhere, but once I'll put it on our social because they did a great job. Right. And it was great seeing him.
So shout out to Unknown Podcast,
who will be named later. But it was really great because it was like, and John even said, a lot of what you see online is the negativity and the people who say mean things for clicks. It was great being at a convention where the whole room is just you just felt the love, and he was excited to meet us. We're all excited to meet him. Mm-hmm. I had a great conversation with him at his table when we were getting something signed. And Phil Lamar, who did Kit Fisto on Clone Wars, I got to meet him. Great dude. Just a good weekend. I taped some stuff for Crash's Corner segments about surviving con life, which is great because I talk about all these little rules that we have over the years. I broke every rule of mine this weekend.
Of course.
Like Snips and I were going around, and she was going to go with me to Phil's table, and she's like, I don't have any cash. And we always say, don't use the ATMs in the convention hall. You get charged fees from your bank and the bank. It's just a pain in the prep ahead of time, bring cash with you. And she's like, damn, I don't have any cash. Okay, fine. We'll use the ATM. We brought chips and snacks with us into the room. We had our parents with us. We were going to visit some friends in town. So we had like our big, 4 of us in a room. We had chips and snacks. We never touched any of it. We were downstairs eating in the restaurant.
Spending extra money on overpriced food in the restaurants. Yeah.
But really good. And this is where I was going to record almost like a captain's log supplemental on that. I was like, I tell you these things, but like I say on the show, sometimes with Star Wars, you just have to go with it and enjoy the ride. Yeah. Like sometimes it's okay to spend a little extra money if you have a good meal or a good interaction with some guest, or it's okay to break your rules once. Like you say with Skeleton Crew, get in a little trouble, just don't get caught. And that was me. I got into a little bit of trouble in my own Crash's Corner rules, and I said, but at least I didn't get caught.
All right. So you had a good time.
Yeah, and I got photos and stuff on our Facebook and Swarzy Curious page.
Love it.
So you guys check that out. You can see what kind of weekend I had.
Sounds good. And be on the lookout for more. And that's a great segue for people that would be interested in maybe joining our private, exclusive, members only Facebook group, Swarzy Curious.
Yeah, and that's great. We've been really trying to put in more content on Facebook and all the other social medias. But the Swarzy Curious is kind of like y'all know us, we know you. Here's the inside information on the show.
Our community. That's our close, tight-knit community where no haters. You don't have to worry about any negativity or toxicity. That's just where all of us like-minded nerds can gather and talk about this show and then talk about Star Wars and just have a good time.
And if there is, you're cut.
Oh yeah, ban hammer, ban hatchet. Look a ban hammer.
You got to put that out there because
I'm picturing Sherry like the armor and the stormtrooper. She's just gonna go to town on somebody if they.
If Sherry's one of the moderators, so I
am. I haven't been looking too much. I need to get more into it. But
Tony and me, we've been kind of holding the fort down, and just starting getting the feel.
I'll put stuff in there once in a while, but.
We're all. If you're watching this and you're wondering about story, trust me, we're all there. You can ask us questions directly if you want.
Oh hell yeah,
absolutely.
We should do some live like one night, just for the Swarzy Curious group.
Yeah,
hang out in there one night and just kind of shoot the shit, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. So,
anyways,
on to the show.
On to the show. So this was a hell of an arc. And I still have ants everywhere on my console. Okay. This is a hell of an arc. We had to jump back to episode 1 this week, just to tie everything together, because you've got episode 1, which was about, Maul and Savage and their murder tour. And then for some reason, we have another like 13 episodes ish before we get to the rest of that arc. I don't understand. I love Dave. I don't understand his genius sometimes. I don't know why that's happened. When we get him on the show, we're going to have to ask him why.
Keep you engaged and come back.
I would have come back anyway.
Okay, well, maybe some wouldn't. I don't know.
You're right. You're not wrong about that at all. So we do see Maul at this point, probably more so than ever before. We're seeing Maul in this really cunning, strategic, even philosophical capacity. Normally he's just been that blunt instrument, that hammer of Palpatine, just going out there. And then he was this rage monster he still is. I mean, make no mistake, he's still full of rage and bile for Kenobi. But in his dealings with the Death Watch and Mandalore, we see him in this really strategic, visionary, capacity. And he was not entirely wrong. I mean, shit went sideways for him, obviously. But, when you look at his vision versus Vizsla's vision, Maul's was a lot wider and deeper than, Vizsla was now that hammer. He just wanted to go in there and crush. So my first question for the gang here, do you think that Maul is becoming more dangerous because he is no longer just this blunt weapon, that he is more tactical and more surgical and more precise? Sherry, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. He's more determined and focused now. He was crazy, obviously, for a minute when he was found, but that's understandable, losing your legs and living off spiders or whatever the hell he was living off of.
He lost a little more than just his legs.
Well, you know what I mean. Well, yeah,
he lost his best saber.
He lost his saber. But yeah, no, I thought it was weird because he had like his tender, which is, I know this is a weird thing to say, but like his tender moments with his brother.
He did.
And it was only when he was getting hurt that he was like, well, you're my brother.
Right.
Other than that, I think he still had the mentality of the Sith, and he needed to, obviously, with this episode, he's going to lose that shit because, Daddy Palpy fucks him up. So,
does he?
Yeah, I mean, so I think that he's more focused, and he's going to try to. He's just more strategic, I think. He still has the anger, but he's learning to focus that anger, in, I don't want to say positive way, but for himself.
For himself,
a positive way, not for others. But
and as always, you bring up a very interesting point that I didn't even consider. Was that, for lack of a better word, that tenderness that he does have for Savage. And he's Mr. fucking ego maniac, Mr. I'm the Sith, he's that guy until Savage gets hurt.
I felt like it was forced. Like before it wasn't forced because he was the apprentice. It was whatever. So but now I think he thought he had to prove something. Because maybe he thought he was going to go back into the graces of Daddy Palpatine, and so by doing this, he's going to see me and bring me back into the ranks. But obviously he learns that's not.
Or maybe it's like a child that's raised in an abusive household. This is all he knows in terms of like an apprentice. So like this is what Palpatine taught him, and that's how he's going to be with Savage.
And I'm actually surprised Palpatine did not feel him. That one, I'm still,
Sooner, right?
I'm still a little bit, because Palpatine is so powerful. I feel like
he was aware of it, but it didn't seem like he was.
No, I know it wasn't part of the story, but if it was, if this was like a real universe type of deal, he would have felt him. At least I think.
And it wasn't until Satine, that situation, we'll talk about that in a minute, the situation with Satine, where I'm wondering if, because it was like right after that, we're shown that it appears that he's sensing something. Obviously, he's aware of Maul because Obi-Wan told him about Maul. We saw that whole conversation. So he was aware.
No, I know that.
Right. But he was just like, whatever. Maybe he died in the crash. Maybe he didn't. It doesn't matter because he's inconsequential to my plans. So he doesn't give a fuck about Maul at this point.
Correct.
But then after what happened to Satine happens to Satine, then we get this shot of Palpy, and he kind of like goes into a little meditative state, and then he takes off for Mandalore. So I'm wondering, I'm curious, I'd like to hear from the group about this too, is like, was it Maul that he sensed at that point, or was it Obi-Wan's grief that he felt across the galaxy? Because I mean, Palpatine is finely tuned into the dark side,
right? So that's why
grief and I say sent out ripples.
I think it was probably Obi-Wan, but that's why I say when that happened to Maul, he's so finely tuned. I think it's bull. I know they wanted to do it for the story, but.
All right, we'll circle back around to that because I want to ask Tony, Crash, what are your thoughts on Maul becoming more dangerous here now that he's tapping into his more strategic philosophical side?
So my interpretation of this, and I'll just be quick about it, is that like I interpreted it as the Emperor knew Maul was there, like that was never in question. I think he only got involved when Obi-Wan lost. I think he assumed Obi-Wan was just going to go take care of it the same way that he beat him last time.
Okay.
And when he realized, okay, he not only is he still alive, he has surpassed where I expected him to be. Now I've got to go put him in his place.
Now he's becoming a rival.
I like that theory.
Yeah,
like
that's a good point. Because when he got there, he said, you're a rival.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Crash?
Yeah. The thing I found interesting about this question is I saw Maul evolving much like we see Boba Fett in Book of Boba Fett, where he was a blunt instrument. He was the murder machine apprentice. And when he was cast aside, like you said, all he knew was the Sith and the rule of two. Well, he wants to be the master. And you notice that when Palpatine showed up on the scene, he went from oh yeah, I'm a player now to complete bootlicker. Don't mind my brother. Pay no attention to the brother on the other side of the room.
Right.
There's two of them. And as soon as Palpatine gave no indication that he was buying this line of bullshit, they ignite sabers and attack. Because it's like, okay, I think Maul wanted to really see himself. I was like, if Palpatine's McDonald's, Darth Maul was like, hey, I'm opening Burger King, and we're gonna take over the market.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because he called himself, he said that
a rival.
Maul, he said we are the true lords of the Sith.
Yeah,
we are. So he was.
And it was interesting seeing even after Savage got taken out, Maul's begging for mercy, thinking like he could wind his way back into being the number 2 in this equation, and forget about Dooku. It'd be interesting what Maul's impression of Dooku as because he was privy to Palpatine's grand plan, and he knew because we'll find out later. He as things play out during Order 60, it was like everything was going according to clockwork, and when he was told about the Clone Wars, the plan went along without me. He's read the script. He's read to the end of the book and went, wait a minute, I got cut out of the story.
Right.
I want to be, instead of being a Sith Lord, he was trying to make, calling themselves crime lords, as if a force sensitive crime lord is equal to being ruler of the Galactic Republic / Empire.
And it was interesting too, because he was hell-bent and obsessed and focused with taking Kenobi out. Like that was obviously his sole total and purpose. But then when he was questioned by Vizsla, he said, what do you want? He said, I want fortune and power. Now, does he want fortune and power so he can use those things to exact his revenge on Kenobi? Or does he just really, really want fortune and power because he is just that guy, and he'll get, so now it seems like he's becoming less obsessed with Kenobi. Not that it's not there, because we see, he's like, we're going to put Kenobi in a cell and let him live for the rest of his life in misery. But it seemed like that quest for fortune and power seemed to overtake his quest for revenge.
Well, I think like what Crash said, he wants to surpass Daddy Palpy and be the supreme. That's what I think. So I thought that was a good analogy to that. I didn't even think about that. So that was a good one, Crash.
So since we're talking about Obi-Wan and Satine, this is arguably one of Obi-Wan's most emotional moments, like in his history in the Star Wars universe. This is possibly, except for obviously
Anakin,
but this entire arc was really kind of centered around a couple of things. One is loss, and the other is balance. And we're going to get to that too, talking about the balance between warrior power and total pacifism. Again, if Star Wars has taught us nothing, it has taught us about the dangers of extremism. You can't be 100% light side, you can't be 100% dark side. It doesn't work. You can't be 100% warrior state, you can't be 100% pacifist. It doesn't work. There's got to be a compromise and meetings in the middle, and Star Wars teaches us that again and again and again and again. But for this, with Satine and Obi-Wan, I'm curious about your thoughts. He said it in an earlier episode. He said, all you had to do is ask and I would have left the Jedi Order. And then now her final words, I love you. I've always loved you and I always will. And we see that beautiful shot of just holding her. And it's just like, it's a lightsaber to the heart. It's like, So even though Obi-Wan said that, if she would have professed her love prior to her death, do you think that he would have left the Jedi Order? What do you guys think? Tony, what do you think? Would he have left for
That's
Satine?
a good question. I think it very much depends on when. I think he meant it when he said that, when he did. I like, if this was prior to him becoming a master, prior to the creation of the Separatists, prior to him being responsible for Obi-Wan and all those other things, or I'm sorry, for him being responsible for Anakin's training and all of that. I think had it happened then, yeah, he absolutely walks away. Now, I don't know.
Right.
Now I think that he has so many other responsibilities that I don't think he can just walk away from it.
Yeah, he's kind of knee deep in a lot of things. Sherry, what do you think?
Well, I think he stood his oath. I mean, he is a Jedi. He knows that he has. I mean, I don't agree with the separation, with the love and all that stuff. I think that's,
the whole attachment thing.
I think the whole attachment thing is ridiculous. But that being said, Obi-Wan was true. He was a true Jedi at that moment. I mean, to be honest, and she knew it. She loved him. You could see it in her face. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, she knew she was going to die. And I think Obi knew she was going to die. And I don't know. I thought it was a touching moment. It sucks that she died. I thought that was the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But he knew what he had to do. He didn't even hesitate to, I mean, yeah, he held her for that moment.
Right.
And he knew what he had to do. So he is the epitome of a Jedi. And not being, he's not, I don't know how to put it, deceitful.
Okay.
Like the rest of them, I think, are, for, you know, in some of the way they treat, especially Anakin, like that's a big deal. He's always kept in the dark. I'm not saying Obi-Wan hasn't maybe done that, but I think he tries to be a little more open and truthful and showing Anakin that to be honest, he does show Anakin you can love and still be a Jedi. In a small way, he does it.
But Obi-Wan,
that's why he told the story. I think in the past episode when they first meet Satine, kind of he's telling Anakin this story about him and Qui-Gon and how it's like, and he kind of very hinted that, look, I fell in love with this girl, but I took my oath as a Jedi seriously, and I chose duty before my feelings. And he was trying to, in some ways, I think he was trying to tell Anakin, look, I know what's going on. It's okay,
Yeah.
But this was just heartbreakingly brutal for him. I mean, Maul was taunting him the whole time. When he's holding her in the air with the force choke. I remember my first thought was, oh, he's just gonna like stab her right in front of him, and to literally fling, the 3D effect of like flinging her at him, and oh, by the way, and then swinging the Darksaber into her. It was just like, that was pure taunting on Maul's part, and he was enjoying every second of it.
Oh, he had a smile on his face the whole time.
Oh yeah. He was. That's what he wants. He wants Obi-Wan to suffer.
And the great thing about Obi-Wan is, like Sherry was saying, the Jedi Order have their faults. The Jedi Order has
and we're going to get into that a little bit too here.
Yeah, but I think Obi-Wan always sort of represents the best of what the Jedi should be about. Even which is why I think he sort of took Qui-Gon and Yoda taught him how to connect to the living force. I think of all the Jedi in maybe including Ahsoka, of all that generation, he was probably one of the most pure, honorable Jedi in the Order. And that moment, Maul came as close as anyone ever did to breaking him.
Yeah.
And he still, I mean, because now
he stood up and said, look, you can kill me, but you're never going to defeat me.
Right.
And, he stuck to his, even heartbroken, he stuck to his principles.
And he knew he fully embraced the fact that they were both going to die that day. Like Obi-Wan, he embraced that. Now let's take a look at if these roles were different. If that had been Anakin and Padme in that situation, how would this scene have played out then?
Yeah.
What do we think?
So I'm just going to say this because I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I don't know that it's possible because I've never seen it, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure that Anakin would have used the Force to draw and quarter both Maul and Savage and everybody else in that room had that been him.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like Anakin would have gone like full Super Saiyan Jedi, because like we saw him at his peak of power on Mortis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when we see him like he's just like pure.
That was the ultimate flex. I will these supernatural beings that represent the Force. He basically just took them by the Force and said heal. That was
yeah. He's like, I'm gonna take the pure embodiment of the dark side and the pure embodiment of the light side, and I'm just gonna, like you said, make them heal. And he was able to do that because, damn, granted, he was probably more powerful because of where he was at the time. But still, had that been Anakin and Padme, I feel like that entire building would have just been leveled, and it would have just been him and Padme. But that would have been like
the hallway scene of hallway scenes. Just he had dark saber and his saber, and just ripped everybody apart.
Gone ham on everybody. And I think in that moment he would have fully turned to the dark side.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Hide your younglings.
1,000%.
That's a youngling.
Now,
hide your kids.
I gotta be honest. While we're on this, listen, Anakin knows Obi-Wan's feelings for Satine.
Of course, yeah.
Oh.
He's got to.
Like, for all the times that Anakin has disobeyed the council, why the fuck didn't he go with Obi-Wan?
You know what? I was wondering the same thing.
There's like outside of the story reasoning, like because had he gone, everything would have been different. But like outside of that, like it is a complete break in his character to just be like, nah, fuck it, Obi-Wan, you go by yourself.
Well, I don't think anybody knew. I think. Well, Anakin.
Anakin knew he was going.
No, he gave him the ship.
He gave him the ship. Unless Palpy might have told Anakin he had to go somewhere else.
That's true.
In which case, that I could.
Or he was with his lady, guys.
He might have been with Padme over on that Google.
He
was
in the room when they were discussing it. Like,
he was in the room, but it's possible.
And again, obviously, this
it's
you
for the
can't
story.
You can't do it because of the story. I get that, but outside of that, it just doesn't make any good sense.
The norm would be he would go with him,
right? I think that there's
or he's maturing. I mean, Grant is getting crazy, but he might be like, okay, I know you have to do this because this is your woman. Because he would do the same thing. If it was Padme, he'd be like, I gotta go. I gotta do this by myself.
And let's not rule out the possibility that Obi-Wan might, because this was not an officially sanctioned Jedi.
Right.
Obi-Wan may have insisted that Anakin not get involved. I'll borrow your ship. Appreciate that. I'll use my old costume from my days undercover as a dodge. Mm-hmm. But I think there again, honorable Obi-Wan would say, look, this is not an official mission. I can't bring you with me. Boom.
All right.
Well, I agree with Tony though. I mean, in the normal line,
and I don't think Anakin would have cared.
Yeah, Anakin would have went. He would have hid or done some shit. Because Ahsoka would have done the same thing.
Yeah, Ahsoka would have snuck in, and she would have.
I agree with Tony. I do agree with that.
Now, do we think seeing this, because Obi-Wan, as we've seen throughout the franchise, Obi-Wan has carried a lot of burdens. I mean, he's seen a lot of tragedy. He's seen a lot of loss. He's carried a lot of burdens. He's sacrificed a lot of himself. So, I mean, sometimes people will say he's Star Wars Jesus, and in many ways he is. I mean, he is, he is that man of sacrifice. Do you think this loss here with Satine, arguably the love of his life, do you think it really shaped the way that he, his later choices when it comes to loss, and especially with Anakin, the way that he deals with loss, or the way that he just deals with other people in general? Would he choose to do things differently because of this loss? Like, do you think that he would, want to protect Anakin more, or did he just tuck this away? Is this one of those things that he uses his intense Jedi training to just tuck away, push down, and then let the Force deal with it?
I think we see in the Obi-Wan series, you know, especially in the early part, you know, he was very reluctant. You know, he even told that one kid Jedi that showed up, he's like, "Look, we lost."
Right.
You know, and Obi-Wan had lost so much, both professionally as a Jedi, personally with Satine, emotionally with Anakin, that when you see him after the Clone Wars and the Empire, you know, you can understand, you know, in the original movie, you know, Luke or Uncle Owen described it, you know, he's just a crazy old hermit.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, his job was to, you know, he swore to protect Luke, and then got dragged in to have to rescue Leia. But, you know, his mindset was, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to keep my head down, and I'm just going to watch this boy because, you know, someday he's going to be trained.
Just kidding.
Creeper.
But, you know, and again, that's his Jedi honor code, saying, look, I swore to protect this boy who's the son of my best friend who betrayed me, but I'm still going to do it.
He's still going to do it because it's not about Anakin or Anakin's betrayal. And he knows it. Now it's about protecting these kids because the kids didn't do anything.
Well, he didn't know Anakin. You know, he thought Anakin was dead. That was the beauty of that Obi-Wan show when they reveal. You know, when Reva reveals that, you know, Anakin's alive, he got scared shitless.
Such a good show. Such a good show. Anyway, we're gonna talk about Kenobi. Yeah. I can't wait to get to that series, because it's so good. It's so good, and a lot of people didn't like it. But
all right, don't talk about it.
I'm not gonna talk about. Okay. All right, moving on. So one thing that this arc showed us was that there was a lot of like systemic failure in this arc. You know, we saw the failure of pure pacifism. We saw the failure of, you know, the pure warrior state. We also see a bit of failure maybe on the part of the Jedi. So one thing I wanted to ask, so let's talk about the pacifist part of it. Was Satine's vision ever really truly viable to maintain neutrality and pure pacifism in a galaxy that's divided by war? Was it feasible? Sherry, what do you think? Because now it was a hot button topic for you when we were watching.
It was, but I mean, I got to think about it in the grand scheme because of where she's at in that system. No, it's not sustainable. Is that what I want for the real world? Yes.
Yeah, pure peace. Sure.
Yes.
But we don't have anybody that's going to be attacking our planet. I think that, you know, on a planetary scale, could we have peace? Sure.
But it does suck for them because they are, I mean, those people were just living their best lives.
And like you said, they were thriving.
They were thriving. Everything was fine. And now you got these assholes that come in to disturb the peace. It's like, seriously? Go somewhere else. There's a war through the whole galaxy. Why don't you go? There's enough planets, apparently. So I don't know why they, you know, old boy was like, oh, we got to be Mandalorian warrior race and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. No, obviously you don't, because the people there are great. It was like a utopia. So, but in the grand scheme, obviously that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be balance between good and bad and everything you watch and all those things. So
very true.
I think it was interesting. I don't thinking about this and kind of going off on a different branch. I liked this part, this theme you're talking about, because it really exemplifies the split between Satine and Bo-Katan.
Yes.
And it was
I didn't even know that.
They were sisters. When Obi-Wan figured out that she's the sister who teams up with the terrorist organization Death Watch, opposing her own sister.
Right.
I remember when that first aired, my first thought was, okay, what went wrong within the family?
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, if Satine was like the eldest, the heir. I'm a big Frozen fan. I always like to think of the heir and the spare. I want to know what emotional damage in Bo-Katan's life, because, you know, when we first meet her, she's a little bit of a bitch. And,
a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. Definitely a bit.
And you're like, okay, you couldn't even like back your family, you know, and you see in Mandalorian, you know, she had deep resentment to a lot of the traditions of Mandalore, the ceremony, the theatrics of it, and which just brought me back to watching her originally on Clone Wars, going, okay, what went wrong in that sister dynamic, or that family in general, where the spared just broke away and joined a biker gang of Mandalorian warriors that was there to topple the government, because again, it's that complete pacifist versus complete warrior / warlord. Let's be real. Pre Vizsla was not looking to rule Mandalore for the betterment of his society. He wanted to be top dog.
He did, and he wanted to use that power to conquer other systems. He wanted to bring back that essentially Mandalorians are the Klingons of Star Wars.
Yeah,
and I think that's exactly what Pre Vizsla wanted for Mandalore again. To be, and at one point, Mandalorians were that dominant force in the galaxy. So
well, I think she went in that direction because how you said it. There had to be a balance. There should be a military power on the planet, even with peace. So I think she went into it thinking maybe I can make the change within. Not saying she even hated her sister at all. That might not even be the case. I think the case is, let me see if I can, I know she did some bad shit, but you have to do some bad shit sometimes when you're on that side. So, but I think she was just trying to make it balance.
And notice, even she didn't agree, when she said, when Maul won the duel and immediately claims the throne, the whole point of being a Mandalorian isn't that some outsider's going to rule our planet. Correct. We're going to rule our planet. Right. And
you saw that
Maul was playing their system against them just as much as Pre Vizsla wanted to use Maul and Savage and their crime lord, as muscle to basically win me the planet, and the rest I don't care about.
Right. And then we see, Sherry, like you said, that switch flipped in Bo, because
you saw that flip switch, like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. This wasn't.
No, I think Bo and Satine were just opposites of the same coin. They both wanted what was best for Mandalore.
Yes.
They had different ways of achieving it. But I do think that ultimately, and I'm curious to know what you guys think too, ultimately let's say Maul wasn't in the picture and Pre Vizsla was able to take over Mandalore and maybe imprison Satine. I think that eventually the two sisters would have come to common ground and potentially been able to rule together. Overthrow Vizsla because he's a fucking dick and a crybaby and a.
Well, he's dead now.
He's dead. Well, yeah, he's dead now.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you guys think that Bo and Satine could have worked it out and maybe ruled together? Like maybe Bo-Katan could have been the leader of Mandalore's armies, and Satine could have handled all that ugly political bullshit.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. I think with the benefit of hindsight, sure, and foresight and knowing what happens in the future, I think, like you said, I think Bo is dedicated to her people and to the planet. She just doesn't want to do it in a pacifist way.
Right.
And I totally get that. Now, I mean, we've joked about this before with Pre Vizsla being a little bitch and how he, should have lost the Darksaber to Obi-Wan, should have lost the Darksaber to Ahsoka. Yeah. But apparently there's a rule that you actually have to declare it to be a duel for it to matter, which I guess they should have known. And I think eventually that's where it would have gone. I think Bo eventually would have challenged Vizsla and taken control of Death Watch, and then worked with Satine to say, okay, listen, we're not going to be this terrorist organization, but you do need, I'm sorry, in this galaxy, you do need a defense force.
Yeah,
you do need an army, and if Bo can lead the army and your sister can lead the people, it can work.
Yeah, it would have worked. I think so.
I agree. So finally about this arc, we'll wrap this up unless and if we have any other final thoughts, we'll get to those, of course. So what, if anything, does this arc reveal about the weaknesses of the Republic, especially as we are leading into Revenge of the Sith? You know, we're seeing that the Jedi are basically kind of politically powerless. No one was willing to go and help Mandalore because it wasn't the Republic's enemy who was attacking them. It wasn't the separatists going after Mandalore. It was an internal struggle. And you know, Ki-Adi-Mundi had said it. He said, you know, the council isn't going to do anything because they're neutral. We're not going to send resources to defend a neutral system. We've asked Mandalore to join the Republic. They're not going to do it. You know, obviously this is all, you know, the machinations of Palpatine. This is everything is all these strings are being pulled by Palpatine. But, you know, even before Palpatine, I feel like even under like Chancellor Valorum, you know, previous to Palpatine, there was still this bureaucracy, you know, and Padme said it, you know, she said, you know, we're not going to be bogged down in a committee while my people are suffering and dying, you know. So are we seeing that failure here again, or were the Jedi and the Republic, you know, the Senate, were they right to not commit resources to this battle on Mandalore? What do you guys think? Tony?
So this is a complicated question. Like, I think pre the Republic Separatist War, I think absolutely they would have gotten involved. But the minute that war broke out and they effectively became no longer a peacekeeping force, but you know, commanders and generals of one side's army, like, just by that definition, they were forced into this position of, like, and we've already seen it, how strung out they are among the galaxy and how badly they are having, you know, how difficult this war has been against separatists, because there's just the numbers are just so great against them that they can't afford to do that. Now, that's a flaw of, I would say that's a flaw of the Republic, but it's also part of Palpatine's plan. So, I mean, it's failure by design. Yeah. And it's a failure of the council to not recognize that potential.
And ultimately just kind of a consequence of a protracted war. You don't have resources. Yeah. That makes sense. Sherry, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm on the fence with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree. They are neutral. They chose not to want that help. So I kind of agree with it, because that was an internal struggle. Now, when Darth Maul, you know, came into the picture,
because Darth Maul is an enemy of the state. He is an enemy of
I think maybe
they probably could, but then Palpatine said, "No, fuck this Maul dude."
Well, Palpatine, you know, is, you know, obviously bad guy, so he doesn't give a shit. You know, he's like, yeah, dude, just let them take care of themselves. And he knew Obi was going to go. And like you said before, or somebody said, you know, they thought Obi-Wan was just going to take care of it again.
Right.
With Maul. So
Sherry, let me ask you this, because you are a really big Star Trek fan. And I think you could definitely draw some parallels here between the Republic on the Star Wars side and like the Federation in Star Trek, you know, because we see a lot of those themes in Star Trek as well, where it's like, well, your planet isn't part of the Federation. So there's always some kind of like weird political shit going on in terms of like helping out this particular species or this particular planet.
Well, they'll help any species. It's when weapons come involved into play. That's the only time they don't, you know, the prime, what is it? The prime directive, comes into play. But normally they'll help them. I mean, they've helped planets that are supposed to explode naturally from, you know, volcanoes or whatever.
Or weird time anomalies. And it's always like at the discretion of the captain of the Enterprise.
Do you ever notice Captain Kirk, the prime directive is we won't interfere with other civilizations unless your space god mountain rock thingy is in the way. Then we're gonna blow it up, and then y'all fend for yourselves. And oops, we're off to the next planet to interfere with their society as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
so
I feel like
with Earth, it is a utopia, so it's fine. So they've done that there, but then they go out to try to help the rest of the people. So I like Star Trek because of that, because they're actually trying to go out and help other civilizations. Granted, that doesn't always happen, and sometimes they come into some, they get into they hit some bumps along the way, but for the most part, they're trying to help and keep. But my issue is like, okay, so they saved that planet, but what other species didn't come because of them saving that planet,
right?
So maybe that planet was supposed to be destroyed, and then another race.
It's always that ripple, that domino effect, like
it's the whole time,
and that's why the Prime Directive is there, so you don't create those ripples and those paradoxes.
And section, what is it, section 51 or
31?
31?
I haven't seen the new one. I think it's section 31.
Yeah, it's section 31. They were actually in control of like time, so they would come and talk to you. You did some time travel, you
temporal anomalies and shit and all that. Oh, time travel. Yeah, and that's the big, like you had said, it's like with that Prime Directive, it's always it's like we saw in Pirates of the Caribbean with the code, the Pirates Code. It's more guidelines than actual rules.
Really. Correct, exactly.
Correct. It's a guideline,
depending on the captain, but like I think the strictest one was probably Picard, but even he would stretch.
So I think Cisco, was very
Cisco
strict about stuff, and even more so than Picard would be more philosophical and a scholarly about it. Yeah, Cisco just didn't care.
No,
he when they made him into like they wanted him to be this prophet of theirs. It was like for the longest time he fought that because he's like, look, man, I'm here for Starfleet. I'm here for this thing, and it.
Listen, Deep Space Nine is my favorite, so I love me some Cisco.
We should do a Star Trek podcast.
And going back to the Jedi thing,
Trek Wars, we're about all the stars.
Yeah, I think the problem is the Jedi are wrapped up in the bureaucracy of the Republic, which is Palpatine's plaything right now.
Oh yeah,
and because again, on the one side, you'd say, okay, you're glad the Republic isn't just unilaterally deciding we're going to invade our neighbor to the north because we need their stuff, or we don't want them to join the separatists. Right. So we're going to invade them first. We're not doing anything stupid like that. But at the same time, when you see somebody, a culture in trouble, and remember, Obi-Wan was actually shocked and amazed when Maul sprung that trap on the platform. And they came walking out of the smoke. They thought this was just Death Watch being Death Watch, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, not you. You're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the problem was the Jedi saw the situation on Mandalore as a Mandalorian against Mandalorian problem,
right?
So they wouldn't get involved. If you start getting and Palpatine, was dismissing Maul and Savage as just petty crooks, and they're dealing with the rabble. And we completely skipped the fact that Hondo, they even for a time some of Hondo's men were going to betray him, and Hondo just shrugged it. He's like, oh, they're not my men anymore. And then when the situation changes, he welcomes them right back in
because he even said he was proud of them.
Hondo is the epitome of, I'm gonna say, I don't even know how to put it, like good versus bad.
He's that balance.
He is that, like he himself is the balance to his own. He's like, whatever. I mean,
he'll do
what you gotta do, and then I'll be here when you get back. Like, just bring me some treasure, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I've never. What did he say? I've never lost.
Yeah, he's like, I've faced other light sword wielding maniacs, and I'm never lost, and
right. And he didn't. I mean, he lost some stuff, But he didn't lose.
But he got back that cargo ship full of weapons, spice. That safe full of credits was still there.
Yeah.
So he ended up coming out on top. He gained through this. He lost men, but he could buy some more men. He doesn't care about that.
Well, the men, they chose. I mean,
you know. And he delivered. Hondo delivered the best line, a couple in this arc, a couple really, but the best line is when Maul is like, "You'll pay for your insolence," and he was like, "Insolence? We're pirates. We don't even know what that means." I was like, "Hondo, you sexy bitch." And then Obi-Wan was like, "Yes, I cut one of them in half before." He's like, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" And he just walks away.
Yeah, he don't care.
Cut him in half. Don't come. I don't give a fuck about your stories, Obi-Wan. I'm going to collect my treasure. Love Hondo. I love Hondo. I want Hondo in live action.
Oh God, that would.
Speaking of,
yes.
Who?
So I did see a thing over the last week that that the voice actor who plays Hondo confirmed that they had done some motion capture of his face for some upcoming project.
Oh, we're gonna get him.
It's happening.
Oh, interesting. I mean,
and Jim Cummings just brings so much to that character just with his voice. Just
what if we saw him in Andor? New season of Andor. He would be perfectly placed there, helping out this, this infant republic or this infant rebellion. They've got to turn to shady characters to get weapons and money and credits and ships and things. Who better to help facilitate that?
Oh, Hondo.
Than Hondo Ohnaka. Oh my God. Oh, fingers crossed for Hondo live action Andor season 2. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be disappointed. But or Hondo in season 2 of Skeleton Crew. We need that. Yeah. I mean, we need that.
That'd be interesting. I'm surprised he wasn't in.
I am too.
The pirate universe there. I mean, that's
he should have been.
But he is on his planet. He wasn't on a space station. So
he's been hanging out at Black Spire doing this thing there. So
yeah, he's
out at Galaxy's Edge chilling,
And visually, can we just talk for a second about going back to the Mandalore set? That scene when Obi-Wan, the doors open and it's just red Mandos fighting blue Mandos and Obi-Wan's there. And
that battle, that whole yes. And that's not the last time we're going to see Mandalore under siege. So very shortly, we're going to be experiencing the Night of 1,000 Tears. But you want to talk about an interaction between two characters. I think all of this takes place during Order 66, but there's an interaction. I'm not going to spoil it. There's an interaction between two characters that is just so weighted. And I don't want to say heavy because that implies it's a bad thing. It's just such a weighted scene. It's such an important scene. I can't wait. All right. So also a special rest in peace to Adi Gallia. She has to go off the Wall of Remembrance because the way she went out getting skewered by Savage Opress and then the final lightsaber coup de grace.
That was crazy.
That was crazy. She was a great Jedi too. I mean, she tried. She held her own. But it was interesting because we saw Obi-Wan pick up on like when she went to sweep his knee and her leg just stopped because Savage is, just a big motherfucker. Mm-hmm. But Obi-Wan kept attacking that knee. So he was aware that, she started to do something and he carried through with that and was able to cripple that guy. But Adi, oh my God, that poor thing. I mean,
and it says a lot about Obi-Wan as a Jedi, as a warrior, to not just fend off. He held his own against the Maul brothers.
He did.
Yeah.
And at full speed, they had him outnumbered, outbladed, and it kind of shows you later how. I remember people used to complain, how could Obi-Wan take on Grievous when he breaks out all four of his? It's like he's fought two Sith brothers at the same, alone,
and almost won.
Yeah,
they ran. So
and had a strategy, like you said, constantly attacking that knee. I also found it interesting the fact that we know Savage is magically enhanced, and he gets his arm ripped, shot off by Hondo's pirates, and get a cybernetic replacement. Maul's legs get damaged, so the legs had to be upgraded, so he's more functional now. The spring-loaded legs was kind of cool for a little while, but I like the fact that I found a way to kind of make Maul function more normal.
But and you bring up a good point too about them being magically enhanced. They're not just these Sith. I've never really thought of Savage as Sith, but they're not just enhanced and powerful in the dark side of the Force. They've also got a little magic boost in them as well. I mean, so that's got to make them doubly difficult to deal with. And Obi-Wan handles his business. Obi-Wan handles his fucking business. And I think people forget, because he's so nice and he's so charming, that I think we forget just how powerful he is. And
he's a badass.
Yeah,
I don't forget. He's a badass.
He's a badass. And you even mentioned he might have tapped into the dark side a little bit once.
Oh, he does. I think he does. I really do. Kind of like Mace Windu.
Like Mace, yeah. He's
type of deal. But I mean, I think you have to, dealing with the Sith. I mean, you have to know where to cut it off is the thing. And obviously he does.
Right. But again,
his love get killed.
Oh my God.
There's no way in hell he didn't have some choke.
Oh, he would. Oh,
he would have ripped them apart too. I think he's just as powerful as Anakin. I mean, I think he can be anyway. So yeah, it took a lot of him to not turn, but I think it's because she knew. Yeah. She was like, "Don't do it."
Right.
Like she knew he would have done it for her.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And
said no.
And again, it always goes back to balance. Because if the Jedi were taught, again, the way that Mace taps into the dark side to be powerful, if the Jedi were able to use some of that dark side energy and learn where that cutoff point is, they would be even more powerful.
Well, I think he could use not anger. Like he loved her, so I think he could pull that. He could use that love energy. Do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like I said before. We mentioned this the other day, like Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
They use screams to get energy, but then when they found out laughter was more potent.
Right.
So I'm not saying he wouldn't be mad. I'm not saying it's a funny thing, but I think they could tap into that.
But that anger that for him, it was sadness. I mean,
it was sadness.
I don't even think it was anger for Obi-Wan. I think it was just deep, very real sadness. And that comes from love. That springs from love, of course.
It's kind of, you're almost getting into what's the difference between empathy versus anger. You could, how many times do we see things in the world, those sad little puppies you watch on those ASPCA commercials, and you get, my first thought is, I don't want to pay $19 a month. I'll pay whatever you want. Just let me at whoever hurt the puppy or the kitty.
Yeah.
And that's empathy. That's anger in a way, but it's more directed at protecting another. There's a difference between focusing your anger for your own self-interest as opposed to directing your emotions to help. And that's what the Jedi are supposed to be about. And I think we see in other shows like Acolyte and Clone Wars, they've sort of gotten away from that. They got wrapped up in almost their own mantras of detachment, when really, Anakin used it as a flirting talking point, but sometimes to love something is to be connected to it and want to care about it. And I think sometimes good people need to get a little angry.
You're right.
You're right.
And speaking of flirting, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but there was a scene where they were breaking Obi-Wan out of jail. We hadn't even gotten into the jail yet, but Bo-Katan, and she was like, "Hey, have you ever used one of these before? Put the jetpack on him." He's like, "No, but I'm a fast learner." And he takes off, and she does this little thing where she like brushes her hair behind her ear while she's looking at Obi-Wan. Now, maybe I'm reading into that a little bit too much.
Her sister's body's not even cold, and you're.
I'm just saying. I mean, this was.
I think she's no.
This was the first time
my
we
turn.
met.
Womp 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 womp.
I don't know.
I think she was concerned about him because of her sister.
Did she know? Did she even
knew? Come on.
They were alienated for a long time.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know for sure.
Did she know? Because it was before all that.
I think she was impressed that a outsider, especially Mandalorians and Jedi, are supposedly not supposed to be able to mix.
Right.
And for him to pick up how to use a jetpack like that so effortlessly, I think that was it wasn't a hairbrush smirk of ooh, he's hot. It was, oh, he's catching on.
I don't know. Ladies generally do that whole.
No, that's just you. No,
but I mean, we have to admit, Obi-Wan is a cutie pie.
No,
on his best day, but when he's also armored up, wearing some Mandalorian armor, he's got on his star. He's already hot. He's already the galaxy's boyfriend, but now he's armored up. Maybe it's just me. Maybe
I think it's just you.
Might be. That's all right.
Got the hots for Obi.
You know what? I admit it freely. Thank you very much. And I need Sideshow to come out with a Mandalorian armored Obi-Wan Kenobi, please.
Oh.
And can we even just for a second talk? Look, how fast did Maul just completely usurp the Death Watch and the Mandalorian? That within days, whatever it was, they all painted their armor to match his look.
Yeah, but we don't know how long, how much time has elapsed. But
it wasn't a lot. I mean, how long would Satine would they have held her after taking over the government? Without killing her. I mean,
well,
I have a feeling that transition happened. There's somewhere Sabine Wren was going, damn, that's a quick paint job.
Well, I think was it? Is it Gar Saxon? Is he the one that put the horns on his helmet?
Yeah, he's supposed to be the one. He's the one with the horns.
Is that? I think
we'll see him later on.
We'll see him later. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that might have taken a while, but at the same time, one thing that we did see in Rebels was how quickly and easily it is to spray paint things. Thanks to Sabine. Sabine always, she's like, done. She'll put out a full fucking Banksy type size mural up in a matter of seconds with this little aerosol can that looks like an inhaler. So I think these Joes could probably, and a lot of it looks like it was hand painted anyway. So they were like,
look how fast Boba repainted. I don't know. As soon as he got his armor out of Mando's ship, he already had that thing okay, I got to touch up the green. Got to paint.
Yeah, he's trying to look good.
And every customer in the 501st Amanda Mercs is going bullshit.
But I'm sure Maul probably sent out an email saying, is
that what it is? An email?
This is our new color scheme. We're under new management now. I'm going to need you to repaint the armor. I'm going to need that red, black, and white. We're going to need that by tomorrow. And if it's not done.
And who's the armorer for all these people?
Well, I'm sure
that's up in the air. We know.
I mean, I'm just saying, is there two? One for the good side, one for the bad?
I mean, I do know that in previous previous episodes of the show, we've seen on Concordia, they've got a whole armor mill.
They do.
Let's just crank the shit out.
They do. So, and currently on Mandalore, the forges are still active. We don't see them because it's a pacifist community, but there has to be right now on Mandalore, there has to be other warriors wearing Beskar armor who are not part of Death Watch. There are other, and that's enough.
They probably kept up some of the traditions, I would assume.
To me, that was kind of like a shortcoming because we're seeing the only Mandalorian, we see Mandalorians, the people, but as far as the warrior cast with the armor, the only ones that we see are the Death Watch, the quote unquote bad guys. But there had to have been others who weren't involved with Death Watch. And then we know through the Mandalorian TV series that the Death Watch splits.
Mm-hmm.
And Din Djarin's culvert becomes more deeply ingrained in the faith. And then
that's a very evangelical Mandalorian.
It is.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Very much so.
So that's probably what was happening. I mean, they're on the planet, so it's a pretty big planet.
Yeah.
So they probably had their religious
Well, they skate on Mandalorian. They you know, when she tells the story of Bo-Katan and you know, they were on Concordia Dawn. Yeah, they were on a moon when the attack happened, which is why they survived. So there are Mandalorians not on Mandalore right even now,
and they're all spread out throughout the galaxy too. I mean, there's thousands of Mandalorians out there just, you know, causing some trouble, you know, doing, again, you know, they're like the Klingons of Star Wars, so they're just out there doing the do and having a good time doing it. So I love Mandalorian culture, I love Mandalorian, and I just think that they're awesome, and I want to see more of them, and I'm very happy. But it's also very, very sad. All of this stuff is very, very sad. It's very tragic. I do also want to know, like, I am not Crash, you might be aware, what happens, do we know what happens to the Darksaber at this point? Because Maul,
Maul's got it, and I think
did he get it? Did he get it after Palpatine got done barbecuing him? Did he take it back?
I don't
remember him.
Yeah, like, because there was this whole stretch. There's a comic that sort of try to explain that Maul finds out he's actually the Night Sister that we see. What's her name?
Mama Cass.
Mama Talzin. Mother Talzin. I think she was literally supposed to be his mother.
Yeah.
And that was sort of played out. But yeah, you know, when Palpatine literally defeats him, you know, they were fighting with their red sabers. So I guess the Darksaber would still be on Mandalore.
No, he used it. He used it when they were fighting Palpatine.
He had both. He had a red.
Maul had his saber, what was left of his original double-sided saber, and he had the Darksaber, and he fought Palpatine with them. But I think, but
Palpatine's not interested in the lore of Mandalore, the legend of the sword, so he doesn't care.
Right, that's what Sherry said. Sherry said that he probably just fucking left it there. He doesn't care. But the next time we see it, if I'm not mistaken, I think the next time we see the Darksaber is in Rebels.
Yes. Yeah. And Maul had collected it. He even had a little shrine of Satine's mural in his like lair on Dathomir. So he collected the sword. He collected all these some relics from when he ruled Mandalore, and
so he just kept it the entire time. So after
he kept it the entire time,
done, you know, getting barbecued by Palpy, he probably just picks it up and goes off and does whatever he's going to do.
Right.
So it stays in his possession. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cleared up. All right, man.
According to Star Wars Wiki,
yes,
Maul after his battle against Sidious was imprisoned in the Spire. After he got freed, he returned to Zanbar, which is the location of a Death Watch camp, and was given back the Darksaber, which had been recovered from the palace where he'd had that battle.
Oh.
So his loyalists had it, and they gave it to him when he got back.
Although by Mandalorian law, he should not have.
They would have given it to him because he did. You know, they didn't defeat him in combat, and they're not going to give it to Palpatine.
No. And Palpatine, like, he just left it there. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't need that.
All right. So that was a great arc. Next up, so this is going to be your homework. Episodes 17, 18, 19, and 20. That's going to be the end of the season. And ooh boy, does this one end? Oof. Sherry, you're gonna be mad. I'm just gonna tell you right now. You're gonna, the way that this because this is not a Scooby-Doo ending. You are gonna be angry. We're gonna probably have to purchase a new television because you're gonna throw something at it and
beat it up,
or you will just say fuck Star Wars. I'm not gonna watch it anymore. But you got to continue watching because things get.
I don't have to do shit.
You don't have to do shit. You are Sherry with 2 R's, 1 Y, but they're not what you think. All right. So this coming up arc is great. Again, just more heartache. Like we talked about at the beginning of this season. Just have your tissues just on standby because it's just you're just going to get continuously choked up. This arc coming up is still so good, but it's just so painful. So please watch it and join us next time. 17, 18, 19, and 20. We're going to be talking about that. Hopefully, if all goes well, we'll be doing it live again. So join us live for that on Friday night. And before we head out, of course, we have to do our obligatory pimping as we do. Check us out on all social media at the SWS Show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform and our YouTube channel. And if you'd like some merch, head on over to the website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and get you one of these fine t-shirts or hoodies or whatever.
Beautiful shirt.
There you go. Beautiful. Very comfortable. It's not sweat wicking though, because my back is like super sweaty.
Ew.
Too much information.
Is it too much information? I'm sorry. And then check out I think we're still on track, or maybe a week off. But you can check out our website, circleofnerds.com/the SWS Show, to look at our timeline and see what's coming up next. And of course, if you're interested, if you want to, take this your obsession with the Star Wars Safe Space Show to the next level, you can join us on Facebook at our Swarzy Curious Facebook group, SWARSY Curious group. Check us out. We're the only one on Facebook. Very easy to find. If you want some Star Wars positivity in your life, that's where you're going to get it. So that's going to do it. You guys got anything else?
I got a couple of quick shout outs for a couple of the voice actors.
Yes, yeah, please.
First off, he only literally, I think, had one line, but the original leader of Black Sun before he got ended,
yes,
very quickly. The voice actor there was a guy by the name of Keith Michael Richardson. I only know that because I recognize the voice immediately as that of Captain Gantu from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, okay.
Just that made me laugh. Also, an RIP to Ian Abercrombie, the original voice of Sidious or Palpatine.
There's one moment in this episode, I'm sorry, where you hear they had to do some extra dialogue, and they brought in Tim Curry to fill in for Ian, and it's very distinct, and if you know enough Tim Curry, you go, oh, that was an add-on later. But it for such a great Palpatine moment for Clone Wars, it really was a gut punch, just knowing that we lost that voice. That was his last role.
It was. And how about Tim Curry as Palpatine? Tim Curry would have made a great Palpatine, like live action too.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Curry is another one who just do no wrong. I mean, the guy is just so good.
You have any other ones, Tony?
No, that was it.
All right.
Thank you, Tony. All right. So that is going to do it. Thank you, everyone. And of course, thank you so much for tuning in this week. And as always, a very special thanks to all of our active duty military members and veterans for their service and sacrifice. So tip of the hat to you always. Sherry, thank you for your service. Air Force veteran, Air Power.
There
we go. That's why you're able to keep things so organized and level-headed when we do the show, because
that's right.
It's that Air Force life, right? That air power.
That's right. You got to keep the plane straight. Oh wait, I didn't fly a plane.
That's all right. You helped the people that did. So
I sure did.
So that's you know what? You did your part. You did more than your part. You helped. You were a hero helping heroes. How fucking cool is that?
That's true.
You know what I mean? So
I love them all.
There you go. All right. So thanks, everybody. And as always, remember, our mighty Star Warriors, if no one does anything nice for you, do something nice to yourself. And we'll see y'all next time. Bye. I'm going to push the button.